What's going on YouTube? It's Ben Nader. Thank you guys so much for checking out my channel again. I really appreciate all of you who have already subscribed. If you're not a subscriber yet, this is the channel where we talk about recruiting and staffing and how to start your own recruiting agency and entrepreneurship, pretty much everything in between. If you like that kind of stuff, please hit the subscribe button down below. And for good measure, everybody should go ahead and like this video no matter what. So let's hop right in and talk about today's topic, which is how to pick your clients and not let them pick you. So obviously we all know that your clients can't literally just pick you and have to work with you, but there is a way to go about picking your clients specifically and hand-picking them for your own custom wants and desires on your end rather than theirs. And this is a much better way of doing business in general because it makes you more money, it'll make your life easier, and in the long run, it will absolutely help out that client at the same rate too. So we never want to be working with bad clients. We always want to work with good clients, meaning clients we mesh with. We've done a few videos on this kind of thing, but I wanted to dive into like a roadmap that you can actually apply and questions that you can actually ask yourself when you look at every potential new client that wants to work with you. So basically, once you have a client that you've talked to, and they've reached back out to you, and you set up a meeting and you start conversing with them, this is the roadmap that you want to go down to make sure that they're a client you want to hand pick and not a client that's picking you. So first things first, you have to make sure there's a clear pathway to a hire. Okay, so what do I mean by that? There's multiple aspects to this. So you actually have to be able to envision being able to hire the people that they want to hire. So there's a couple questions that I would ask myself in particular. The first one is this a marketable position? Like, is the job they're asking me to hire for something that's marketable? Are they asking me to hire garbage men? Or are they asking me to hire, engineers? Or are they asking me for a position that's attractive to people or that's just like super unattractive and you don't know anybody that would want to do that job? You have to ask yourself that question. It's very, very important to understand in the world of the workplace, is this an attractive position or not? The second question I would ask myself, are they properly paying for this position? So you always, when you get in conversations about a position, whether it's in negotiations or whatever it is, at some point you're going to ask them, well, what are you paying for this position? What are you going to pay the employee? And they'll give you a range. It's, going to be $18 to $23 or $23 to $27, or it's going to be, $40 to $43. Depends on whatever they're hiring for, right? But you'll get a pay range. What you need to do with that range is you need to Google it. You need to throw it into Indeed.com. You need to look at all the other similar positions and make sure that it's a market rate. If they're paying 10, 15, 20% below what the actual market rate is, that's not going to work, and you have to have a conversation with them about that. And in having that conversation, if they think that you're ludicrous or something, it's time to walk away. They're not willing to pay market rate. Things are not going to work out. You're going to be doing a ton of work sourcing for candidates that will never take that job at that pay rate. And you'll see that just by putting an ad up and not getting a response. So that's one thing. Pay rate is huge. The other thing you want to ask yourself is, are there candidates readily available in this market, whatever market you're specifically in, that are ready to get hired for that position? So, I live in Seattle, very tech-focused city. There's a lot of developers and people that are in technology. And there's also a lot of like biopharmaceutical and stuff like that. If, for instance, I was working in Bozeman, Montana, right, and somebody wanted me to find, the next cancer researcher, scientist, or whatever, and I was in that space. Well, the first thing I'd have to say is that, I don't really think there's anything in Bozeman, Montana that, has candidates readily available for cancer research there, right? Like, there's not going to be scientists that are like ready to work in Bozeman or already in Bozeman or wanting to even relocate to Bozeman to actually work there, right? Like, and if you know where Bozeman, Montana is, you know exactly what I'm talking about. But if they were in Seattle and they wanted to do cancer research, or if they wanted a data scientist or something like that, I could be like, snapping my fingers like a genie and be like, here, I've got 10 candidates for you right away, because we're a very technology-focused city. So just understand, are there candidates for that actual role? Like, is it not too super niche or anything like that? Another question you can ask yourself is, do you see that candidate actually staying with the company? Now, a couple reasons you need to ask this. Number one, just for a good candidate experience. If you're hiring someone, you have a relationship with that candidate. I mean, you got them that job. The second reason is your payout depends on it. I mean, you're giving a guarantee to your client. Usually it's 30 days, 60 days, sometimes 90 days if the payout is really well only. And you need to understand, is this a work environment that this person is going to stay at for a month or 2 months so that I can actually retain this candidate and not have to get a new one and replace them, or refund the fee, even worse off, which we never do anyways in contract. But regardless, make sure it's something that they're going to want to stay in, and you'll be better off all over the place. The second huge element is this client that you're talking to agreeing to fair terms with you? So questions you can ask yourself, like if you pitch 10% to them and they try to cut you down in half on 10%, walk away right away, because that's just absurd. 10% is the lowest fee in the market, and it's just not going to work at all. Like there's nothing you can do to fix that. So they have to be able to agree to fair terms, and you have to mesh on that, and you guys have to align fully. So fee is going to be a big thing. Are they expecting the world right off the bat? Like, are they already asking you for things that you can't provide, like right off the bat? Like, do they want to be presented 5 candidates before you even sign an agreement? Like, walk away. Like, it's probably not going to be a good client. Do your research on these companies, right? Like, Google the company. Like, if it's an obscure company, a smaller company, someone who's not like large and, in charge all over the city, Google them, find out about the owner, read their reviews on Yelp, find out what people think about them, because ultimately all of that is going to reflect back up to the owners, the people you're talking to, or the management, the people that you're actually dealing with when you service them and, find candidates for them. So figure out your research and do your research on them, and make sure that they're going to be able to do fair terms with you, and ask yourselves those questions. Are they agreeing to a good fee? Are they good people to work with? Are they asking the world of you already? That sort of thing. And so in summary, I mean, as a culmination of those two things, just like, is there a clear pathway to getting a hire? And is it worth it for you to work with them? Are they making you, fair terms? In summary, ultimately, you need to see it as a big picture thing and say, is this going to be something that's going to be like working out for you at the end of the day? Like, do you see this coming to fruition? Do you see it being too hard for you to work on? Do you see it taking away from other good clients that you're working with? It's okay to say no to someone that wants to work with you. It's perfectly okay. I've done it many times. Talk to people who are like, yeah, we'd love to do this, we'd love to do that. We want, 6 candidates up front before we sign an agreement. Then we want to do a week-long working interview with them before we give them any hiring. Oh, by the way, we don't have any benefits, and we're paying 20% below market value. I mean, walk away. Like, there's nothing you can do for that client. So just walk away. It's gonna not benefit you, but it's literally not even gonna benefit them, because you're gonna bring them really, really bad, low caliber people, like, I don't know, drug addicts, like just people that aren't ready to work, like not in the right space, and things like that. So you need to find out if it's a feasible relationship. Really, ultimately, you need to look at it as a relationship, because that's what it is. They're paying you, and there's an interaction, and are you going to need to do a lot of hand holding for this client? Like, do they know what staffing actually means, what it entails? And a lot of this, like, do they understand the process and that sort of thing? And so a lot of this can be flushed out just by having a really direct and transparent conversation with that client. Like, do you understand this and that, and how we work, and what we're going to do, and what the terms are, and all of that sort of thing. And so talk to them about the interview process. Talk to them about the pay range. Talk to them about, what caliber of candidate they're looking for, and then tell them exactly what your expectations are. Hear their expectations, but then tell them exactly what your deliverables can be, and make sure that they agree with what those deliverables are going to be. Because if they expect this, and you're going to be giving them, this, which is very sufficient, but they think that they deserve this, you have an issue. You need to be right here. You have to mesh with this client. So those are some things that you can ask your client just to make sure. I mean, ultimately, the end of the day equation needs to be, the most minimal work on your part for the most maximum benefit on your part, right? You're a recruiter, you're a recruiting agency, you have to make, a large sum of money for a minimum amount of work so you can work on other clients, at the same time in concert. And so that's how your business needs to run. So ultimately figure out, if that equation is met. If it's met properly, great. Go into business. If it's not met and there's not anything to outweigh it, like, but maybe they're not such a great client, but they're going to give you a lot of high volume business or something. Or maybe they'll, expand you out to their network and they've got a ton of branches and they need more hiring that way. But if that basic equation of minimal work for high payout isn't being met by any scheme of all the questions that I've mentioned in my kind of notations, which by the way, I'll put in the description for this video, then walk away from the deal. So that's a little bit about how to pick your clients and not let them pick you. So I'll come at you guys Monday for another video. I hope that you're enjoying your weekend. I will catch you guys then. Take care.